boys and girls, a very good morning and welcome to this live session on winning techniques for the IBPS clerks and RBI assistants preliminary exams brought to you by TalentSprint. Just 18 days to go for your RBI assistants exam, and I'm sure all of you are preparing really well and leaving no stone unturned to boost your scores and maximize your chances of selection, right? And I also hope that these winning techniques or these live sessions that we're doing every day at 11 a.m. are helping you enhance your learning and boost your confidence before you go for this highly competitive exam. Now today's session is going to be on a very interesting topic from reasoning called coded inequalities. We will not be discussing the basics of this topic, nor will be solving like too many questions here, but the idea is to just introduce you to that smart method or the winning technique that can help you answer these questions really quick. Believe me, coded inequalities hands down is the easiest topic from reasoning, right? You cannot expect anything easier than coded inequalities. Well, of course, the questions can be asked in various forms, right? I mean, there were days when we used to get symbols were supposed to be converted to proper inequality and then find out which of the conclusions follow the given statements. Then came, exams where directly inequations and conclusions were given. We were required to find which conclusions follow or which conclusions do not follow the inequations. And then in the recent past, we had seen, like I think it started with SBI PO 2014, or SBI PO 2015 if I am not wrong, where the coded inequalities was asked in terms of fill in the blanks, right? Instead of asking us to find out which conclusions follow, they asked us to fill up the blanks so that two of the particular inequations are correct, right? The point that I'm trying to make is there have been and there are different ways in which the questions can be asked, but the concept remains the same. Right? If you go through TalentSprint's video on coded inequalities, you would know that there are simple three golden rules that you need to follow for you to answer any type of question from this particular topic. And believe me, you can bag 5 marks in less than 2 minutes if you follow those rules thoroughly. Now, I'll not be discussing those rules in details or the concepts of coded inequalities in details here. You can, explore our program and watch those videos. We'll straight go to a few questions and see how do we solve these questions quickly. I am hopeful that all of you will get the right answers anyways. But anyway, as a refresher, let's solve 3 to 4 questions from coded inequalities today as a part of this winning technique session for your upcoming exams. So the first question from this very simple topic of coded inequalities is on your screens now. What does it say? Read the directions properly, right? In these questions, the relationship between different elements is shown in the statements. The statements are followed by 2 conclusions. You see, there are statements given to us: A greater than or equal to B, greater than C, greater than or equal to F, Z less than C, less than or equal to D, less than E. And there are 2 conclusions: A greater than Z and F less than E. What are we supposed to find out? Which of these options is correct? If only conclusion 1 is true. If only conclusion 2 is true. If either conclusion 1 or conclusion 2 is true. If neither conclusion 1 nor 2 is true. If both 1 and 2 are true. So you basically have to find out which of these 2 conclusions, 1 and 2, follow the given statements, right? Logically follow the given statements. Should not take more than 10 seconds for you to answer any question from inequalities here. Anyway, I'll give you about 30 to 45 seconds and your clock starts now. Which of these conclusions follow, which of these conclusions are true with respect to the given statements, A very simple game, right? Again, I'm not taking up questions in the form of fill in the blanks and other formats, because the idea of doing these sessions on winning techniques is to introduce the concept or the technique to you all. Once you are thorough with the technique, then you can try complex questions yourself. Okay, I think most of you have got the answer as option 5. Let us discuss this now, right? Without wasting any time, let's take this up, right? So here we go. What does it say? There are statements given to us. He says A is greater or equal to B, B is greater than C, C is greater or equal to F. And then there's one more statement: Z less than C, less than or equal to D, less than E. Right? Now you can see that the common variable in these 2 statements is C. So if at all the 2 statements have to be connected, the common friend is C. So this is group of friends. A, B, C, F is one group of friends. Z, C, D, E is another group of friends. In both these groups, who is the common person? C is the common person. So if at all I have to introduce A to Z or A to D or A to E, I should take help from C, because C is the common person, right? C is the mediator. Similarly, if you want to introduce D to B, D to F or D to A, C's help has to be taken. Okay, so keep that point in mind, right? Whenever different statements are given, Sometimes only one statement is given, so it becomes a lot easier. But then if multiple statements are given, you have to take help of the common friend in both the groups. Now, conclusions. The first one says A is greater than Z. First one says A greater than Z. Now, A and Z are in two different statements. So, connect them. How do you connect them? With the help of C. Now, read from A. See, you don't even have to write anything on paper, but for the sake of simplicity and explanation clarity, let me just write it first. I'll tell you how to do it without paper as well. So, write down A greater than or equal to B greater than C. Up to C. No need to take up F here, right? Now, connect C with Z. See, A has to be connected to Z, right? Find out the relationship between C and Z. C is greater than Z. Understand, Z was less than C, so C is greater than Z. C greater than Z. That's it. Now, A and Z have been connected. There is a connection between A and Z. What do you have to do? Just read the inequalities. Just read the inequalities between them, right? What do you find between A and Z? There are three inequalities: greater than or equal, greater, and greater. According to rule number two of coded inequalities that we have in our TalentSprint videos, whenever we have such common inequalities, right? Similar inequalities, not common, similar. These are all similar inequalities. See, greater and greater than or equal to are similar inequalities. Less than or equal to are similar inequalities. Greater are similar. Less are similar. Greater than or equal to are similar. Less than equal to are similar. So whenever we have such similar inequalities, you can directly take the most common part throughout those inequalities and conclude that as a result. So here I have greater than or equal, greater and greater. What is common throughout? Greater is common, right? Greater is common. So your answer will be this. A is greater than Z. A greater than Z. First one is true. Second one, F less than E. Again, same, F less than E. Connect F with E. Now, see, you don't have to put pen on paper. Just read it out. F less than or equal to C. Read it out loud. F less than or equal to C. Less, right? Less than or equal to C. C less than or equal to D. D less than E. F less than or equal to C, C less than or equal to D, D less than E. So from F to E, I have less than or equal, and less. What is common? Less is common. So F less than E. Conclusion 2 is also true. So 1 is true, 2 is true, both 1 and 2 are true. Option 5 is the answer. Remember, explanation has taken this much of time, not the solution. If I had to solve it myself, I would have marked the answer in about 5 seconds. And if I can do it, you also can do that. It's just about more and more practice. I know the question is very simple, but like I said, the idea is not to discuss the most of the complex questions, right? I mean, very complex questions here. The idea is to introduce the concept to you or the technique to you. So understand this thoroughly, how to work using this, and then try more and more complex questions yourself. Okay, so let's move to the next question, right? The next one is on your screens here. Should not take more than 10 seconds now. Now that we have discussed the technique, it should not take more than 10 seconds. Remember, we have only looked at rule number 2 so far. Only rule number 2. There's one more rule, rule number 1 and rule number 3, which we will probably come across while answering these questions. If not, you can watch our full video on coded inequalities. Oh, did I not share the screen? I'm so sorry. All right, so the question is on your screens now. Question is on your screens now. Answer it. You have just 10 seconds to do this. Five more seconds before we take it up. Only two is what most of you have got. All right, so let's solve this now. Here we go. The statements are, I mean, you don't have to read the statements. Don't waste your time. Just look at conclusion 1. Y less than or equal to I. Y less than or equal to I. Now, Y to I. y to I. What is the common variable? P, right? So connect with P. Y less than P, Y less than P, P less than or equal to O less than I. Let me write this. There's another important point coming up here. So let me just write this in equation involving Y and I, right? Y is less than P, Y less than P, P less than or equal to O, and O is less than I. O is less than I. Now, as per the rule 2 that we had discussed in the earlier question, we know that the relationship between Y and I will be Y less than I. Y, see, what are the inequalities? Less than or equal to, less than. What is common throughout? Less is common. So we can say Y less than I. Y less than I. But what is given in the conclusion? Y less than or equal to Y. See, equality is not there, only less than. We are definitely sure, we are 100% sure that Y will be less than I. But here he says Y could be less than I or equal to I. Equality is not possible at all. So conclusion number 1 is wrong. Look at second one. O greater than W. Connect O with W. O greater than or equal to P. P greater than Y. Y greater than W. You just have to read the inequalities, right? Greater than or equal. See, from O to P. From P to O, it is less than or equal to, right? P less than or equal to O. But when you go from O to P, O less than or O greater than or equal to P, right? We want from O to W, right? You have to go from O to W. So O greater than or equal to P. O greater than or equal to P. Then P greater than Y. Y greater than W. So what is common? Greater is common. So O greater than W is true. Conclusion 2 is true. Conclusion 2 is true. Only 2 is true is the answer. Okay. So trust you have all got the answer, right? Option 2, only conclusion 2 is true is what the answer is. So very simple understanding is, look at the inequalities between the two variables. First of all, write them in a correct sequence. O to W, W to O, right? Because what happens here is, in one direction, if it is greater than or equal to, in the other direction it becomes less than or equal to, right? So you have to be careful about that. So write it properly in the sequence, then just read the inequalities. If all of them look similar, greater than or equal to, 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 answer will be greater. See, common, whatever is common throughout has to be taken as the result. Next question here. So 2 statements and 2 conclusions again. Find this out. D greater than H, H greater than or equal to N, S greater than I, I less than or equal to H, H greater than or equal to F, F greater than I. So this time we've got 3 statements and with just 2 conclusions. See if you're getting the right answer. Quick. Option 1, option 3, option 4, option 5. These are the 4 different responses that I've seen so far. 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. But I think most of you have got 1. Yeah? Should we take it up? Chalo, let's discuss. We should not be spending so much of time on quoted inequalities. So, D, again, no point in reading the statements. That's a waste of time. Look at the conclusion directly. H greater than or equal to I is the conclusion. So, connect H with I. Connect H with I. Straight, you find that H is greater than or equal to I. See, H is available in all 3. Right? H is available in all 3. I think there's some challenge here. One statement says H greater than or equal to I. The other statement says H greater than I. So what do you mark as the answer? 1 or 2 or 3? H greater than or equal to I or H greater than I? You see, here we have got D greater than H, H greater than or equal to N, S greater than I less than or equal to H. So if I is less than or equal to H, clearly H is greater than or equal to I. H greater than or equal to I. H greater than or equal to I. And then the next conclusion says H greater than or equal to F, F greater than I. See, I assume, I'm sorry about this. It looks like there's some printing error here. It can't be this. The question cannot have 2 different relationships between the same 2 variables, right? I mean, one statement says H greater than or equal to I. The other statement says H is greater than I, right? From this, the conclusion is H is greater than I, which is not correct. So I'm sure that there's some error in the question here. Apologies for that. What we can do is, let's consider that the third equation, a third statement is about j, not I or n, something else. Sorry for this inconvenience caused, right? This is n, let's say, right? N or whatever, n or m, right? M, let's say m. Yeah, there is a printing error here. Apologies for that. Now, what do you see? The statement, second statement directly tells us that h is greater than or equal to I, right? H greater than or equal to I. That is what is given in conclusion number 1, h greater than or equal to I. Conclusion 2 says h less than I. Incorrect. I am sure that h is either greater or equal. It cannot be less. H is either greater or equal. So answer should be option 1. Only 1 is true. H greater than or equal to I. H greater than or equal to I. Now let me tell you one very important point here. Many students have this understanding that this is like a complementary pair. This is considered to be a complementary pair. See, greater than or equal to less than, or greater than and less than or equal to. These two are considered to be complementary pairs. Like we have complementary pairs in syllogisms, right? Similarly, there are complementary pairs in quotient inequalities. So when you have greater than, less than and equal to, or greater than, less than or equal to, see, all the three results are considered here. You very well know that when we compare two variables, when you compare two numbers, you compare any two numbers, right? What are the possible results? Either the first one is greater than second one, or the first one is less than second one, or the first one is equal to second one, right? These are the only three results possible: greater, less or equal, right? Greater, less or equal. So these are the direct results possible. Now, when you say greater than or equal to and less than, you have considered all the three possible results. Similarly, when you say greater than and less than or equal to, you have considered all the three possible results. Now, some students have this understanding that whenever you have greater than or equal to between h and I and less than in h and I, definitely the answer is either or. Right here, they mark option 3 as the answer. They mark option 3 as the answer, which is incorrect. Remember, just because all the three possible results have been given does not mean that the answer is either or. You have to look at the statements, because statement very clearly tells us that h is greater than or equal to I. There is no possibility that h can be less than I. Right? So don't be under an impression that whenever we have such complementary pairs available between two variables, answer is either or. You have to look at the statements and only then decide. Right? Always look at the statement and only then decide. Our answer will be either or, either conclusion 1 or conclusion 2 is true if we are unable to decide the relationship between h and I. Sometimes it so happens that we are unable to decide the relationship between h and I. When you are not able to decide the relationship, then you can say either this will be correct or this will be correct. There is no other possibility. But in this particular case, we are very clearly able to decide the relationship. In fact, the relationship is directly given to us. The relationship is directly given to us. So how can we say either or as the answer? So all those who have marked option 3 are wrong. Option 3 cannot be the answer, right? This is incorrect. Answer is only 1 is true. So that's one very important point which you need to keep in mind. I've seen many students committing this error there, right? So don't jump to the answer directly when you find a complementary pair. Okay, let's take up the next question, which is here on your screens now. Now this time you see that statements have got equal to sign between two variables, right? H is equal to I and I is less than or equal to R. M is greater than or equal to R and R is less than S. Try and answer now. Got it? Option 2, option 3. Confusion again, huh? Some of you have marked option 2, others have marked option 3. All right, enough time has been given. Let's take it up. So here's the here are the conclusions, right? No point in reading the statements. Look at the conclusions directly. M is equal to I. Conclusion number 1 says M is equal to I. Now, interestingly, if you observe this particular question has got one statement with equality between H and I. Right? So we'll do one thing. Let's connect you can see that in all the three conclusions we have relationship between m and I. M equal to I, m less than or equal to I less than m, right? So what we can do is let's connect I and m first. I mean that's what we need. That's all we need. Connect I with m. So we have R is a common friend, like I said. R is a common friend between these two statements. So what do we say? M is greater than or equal to R. M is greater than or equal to R, right? M greater or equal to R. R greater than or equal to I. R greater than or equal to I. Are you able to follow? M is greater than or equal to R, straight. And then R is greater than or equal to I. See, I is less than or equal to R, implies R is greater or equal to I. R is greater or equal to I. Now, what is the relationship between M and I? Again, go to that rule we had discussed, right? Rule number 2. Rule number 2 in quotient inequalities tells us that you just look at the inequalities between the two variables. Whatever is common, that has to be considered as the answer. So, M and I have got two inequalities between them, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to. What is common? Greater than or equal to is common throughout. So, your answer is M greater than or equal to I. M greater than or equal to I. M greater than or equal to I. Now, clearly, conclusion 2 is incorrect because conclusion 2 tells us that M is less than I. Conclusion 1, M equal to I, wrong. Conclusion 1 is wrong. Remember, answer is what? Answer is M greater or equal to I. This conclusion is telling us that M is equal to I. How are you sure? We can't be sure, right? M may be equal to I. M can be equal to I, but it is not definite. It is possible. It is possible that M is equal to I, but it's not definite. So M equal to I is wrong. M less than I, less than or equal to I is anyway wrong because M is greater than or equal to I. Look at the third conclusion. I less than M. I less than M is nothing but M greater than I. Is M greater than I? No. M is not greater than I. M is greater or equal to I. So third conclusion also is wrong. Remember, M greater than I is possible. It's a possibility, but it's not a definite conclusion. M can be greater than I, but M need not be greater than I always. So independently, all the three conclusions are wrong. 1, 2, 3. All three are wrong. However, if you now combine conclusion 1 with conclusion 3, combine 1 with 3. 1 tells us that M is equal to I. 3 tells us that M is greater than I. So either of these two have to be correct because that's what is the result, right? M is either greater or equal to I. What do you understand from this? M is greater than I or equal to I. M is either greater or equal to I. So here either M is greater than I or M is equal to I. So can I say either 3 or 1 are true? Either 3 or 1 is true. Either 1 or 3 is true. Either 1 or 3 is true. Option 3 has to be the answer. Okay, option 3 has to be the answer. M is equal to I or M is greater than I. So be careful. This time the complementary pair, it's not a complementary pair again, but it's an either or case, right? Because we have definitely found that M is greater or equal to I, we are taking either 1 or 3 as the answer. Okay, don't mark the answer blindly. Always verify from the given set of conclusions and statements there. So option 3 would be the correct answer. The last question for the session today. Quick. Here again 2 conclusions from the given statements. Very easy to crack. I mean, just read out. Don't put pen on paper. No need to put pen on paper. He says K greater than or equal to R. K greater than or equal to R. Let's all do it together. How do you connect K with R? See, R is connected to P. P is connected to U. K is connected to U. So there are 2 common friends. U is a common friend between K and P is a common friend between K and R. So basically we have to connect with the help of U and P. So K greater than or equal to U. K greater than or equal to U. U greater than or equal to P. P greater than or equal to R. Yes or no? K greater than or equal to U. K greater than or equal to U. U greater than or equal to P. P greater than or equal to R. So throughout you have seen greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So I can say K greater than or equal to R is correct. 1 is correct. Right? 1 is correct. Look at 2, L greater than Y, L greater than Y. How do you connect L with Y? L is connected to K, K is connected to Y. Now, just read out. L greater than U, U less than or equal to. Here itself I will say conclusion 2 is wrong. Without even going to Y, I will say that conclusion 2 is wrong. Let me write down the statement this time. I'll tell you why conclusion 2 is wrong. L greater than U, U less than or equal to K, and K greater than or equal to Y. I have connected this part with this part because we wanted to connect L with K. Sorry, we wanted to connect L with Y with the help of K. So L greater than U, U less than or equal to K, and K greater than or equal to Y. Now the point is, even before reaching Y, by the time I reach K, what happens? L greater than U, U less than or equal to K. Greater, lesser. These are dissimilar inequalities. Dissimilar inequalities. Remember, whenever we find dissimilar inequalities between 2 variables, those 2 variables cannot be compared. L cannot be compared with Y. Cannot be compared with Y. Very, very important result. N cannot be compared with y, because the possible answers are L can be greater than y, or L can be less than y, or L can be equal to y. All the three are possible. I am not able to compare. This is rule number 3. This is rule number 3. According to rule number 3, right? What we have done here is rule number 3 of coded inequalities. Rule number 3 says that when you find dissimilar inequalities between two variables, I want to connect L with y. I am trying to connect L with y and finding out the relationship. When I connect L with y, what do I see? L greater lesser. Now, greater lesser combination. The moment you see greater lesser combination, whether it is greater lesser, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, greater with less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to with less than, all these are dissimilar inequalities. Dissimilar, right? These are all dissimilar cases. So whenever you find dissimilar inequalities between two variables, those two cannot be compared. See, what do we mean when we say cannot be compared? We cannot decide what the result is. L cannot be compared with y, meaning L can be greater than y, L can be less than y, L can be equal to y. All the three are possible. But here, conclusion 2 clearly tells me that L is greater than y. How does he know? How can you say L is greater than y? L may be greater than y, but it's not sure. So conclusion number 2 is wrong. Only 1 is true. Option 1 has to be the answer. So that's rule number 3 of coded inequalities, right? So very, very easy topic, and definitely score booster in the exam. I mean, you cannot expect questions easier than coded inequalities in any form, right? Whether it is given in the way we have solved it here, or in terms of fill in the blanks, or sometimes, you know, they ask you to find out which of the conclusions do not follow. So you have to be very careful. I'll tell you where most of us go wrong while answering these questions, right? We don't read the directions properly. Here, the directions had asked us to find out which of the conclusions are true. Sometimes they ask you to find out which of the conclusions are not true. But what happens is, since we are in a hurry, we don't even read the directions. The directions ask you to find out which of the conclusions are not true. You took it for granted. You have to find out which conclusions are true. You will find 2 is true, you will mark the answer. But then what you later on realize is, boss, he asked you to find out, what was not true. So be careful in reading the directions, and just check that once before you mark your final answer. Okay. However, if you want to understand this in more detail and with lot more questions, lot more varieties of questions around coded inequalities, right? I would suggest that you can explore our online program, TalentSprint's online program, where we have a lot of advanced examples on coded inequalities here. Let me tell you, what we have solved here are all very simple examples with a very interesting and important technique, right? Winning technique. Okay, so just follow this technique, learn this technique, and practice. Without practice, it's not going to be easy. So keep practicing and take very good care of yourselves. I'll meet you all again in the next session tomorrow at 11 a.m. with yet another winning technique. And yes, before that, we'll be meeting at 6 p.m. today for your IBPS PO main exam refresher session. So if you have qualified in the IBPS PO preliminary examination, or even otherwise, if you want to learn how to deal with complex puzzles from the reasoning section of your exams, join us at 6 p.m. today with your friends. And do subscribe to our channel so that you get notified about these live sessions and the important videos that we upload for your preparation for bank and SSC exams. On that note, let me sign off from this session today. Thank you once again for joining us. I hope all of you have enjoyed. I wish you all the very best for your preparation and for your exams. Keep practicing and take very good care of yourselves. Bye.